Welcome to LiveDaf, your online Daf Yomi Shir.
Shalom Aleichem, welcome back to today's Daf Yomi Maseches ARACHIN Daf Yotes. We begin the new parak at the Mishnah towards the top of the Talmud Bavli. So this fellow gets up and pledges as follows. So we had so far two general types of pledges. We spoke about an erech, which relates to a prescribed set flat amount fixed in the Torah based on the age of your subject, the gender, etc. Then we have something called damim. So you're pledging actual, market value of that person as if he were to be sold as a slave. So that's called damim. Now we have a third type of donation. A fellow gets up and says, I'm going to donate my weight. I'm going to give some material which weighs as much as me. Nice and mishkali. So he does just that. Im kesef, if it's meant to be silver, kesef, then he donates silver. Im zav, if he had in mind gold, then it's going to be gold. Zav. Ma'asa b'ima shel Ramatya. In fact, a story with a woman named Iramatya. And her mother, who was a wealthy person, she pledged, she got up and said, Mishkal biti olai, I'm donating the weight of my daughter, Valsig Yerushalayim. So she traveled to Yerushalayim Shaklu and they weighed the daughter of Nasno, Mishkal Azav, and she paid her weight in gold. Now let's say it's Mishkal Yad Yolai. I'm pledging the weight of my hand. Pretty difficult to weigh the hand while it's still on a living person. Either he lightens his load or presses down. It's a bit hard to get the accurate measurement. So how do we figure out the weight of a hand? Rabbi Doimer. We proceed with the following formula. We use a displacement system. We fill up the barrel with water. Then he inserts his hand admar peka until his the shoulder, according to Rashi, so until the armpit. And Tosfos disagrees. He says until the marpik is actually the elbow. And that will displace X amount of water. Next, v'shoikel mipsar chamor v'atzamais v'kidim. He gets a hold of some donkey material, basar, atzamais v'kidim, flesh, bones, sinews, which weighs similar to the human materials. And he refills that displaced water. So he fills the barrel to smile until it fills up. And now he knows how much he has to pay. And the Tosfos points out that he weighs it prior to inserting it into the water, because then it will absorb more water and get heavier, right? So he weighs a piece, puts it in, puts it in until it fills up. Now he knows exactly how much weight he owes. Amar B'yesi, you can never get an accurate, precise measurement. How are you going to make a perfect match? To match up, the proportion of flesh, bones, and sinews to the one by the human. Basar, exactly the right amount of basar, as per the basar in the human hand. Vatsamais, the bones, vatsamais, opposite the atsamais, ella. Rather, just make an estimation. Instead of going through this whole displacement, procedure, just make a approximate estimation. How much do you think the hand would weigh? Now, what does the Mishnah mean? My im kesef, im zahav zav. Mishnah says he pledged the weight of his hand. If it's meant to be silver, go ahead. Meant to be gold, go ahead. Amar Rabbi Yehuda, it depends what he says. Pireish kesef, if he specifies, I'm going to give him my weight in silver, then he pays kesef. Pireish zav, if he specifies gold, then it's zav. Pshita, obviously. Why does the Mishnah have to spell it out? How kamash, when the Mishnah is teaching us a point. Time with the Pirush. When, in fact, is it gold? Is it silver? If he specifies. But otherwise, Holei Pirush, suppose he didn't specify anything. I'm donating my weight in. He didn't say in what. He just, my weight. So any material which is weighed can qualify. Pater nafshe b'kodu. You can use any material, provided that it's something that's typically weighed in the market, right? As per Rechava's teaching, the Rechava, Ba'asra the takli kufra, in a place where they weigh pitch, tar, pater nafshe efil b'kufra, you can donate a container of pitch as per the weight of his hand. Pshita, well, obviously, if it's something weighed, then why is it different? Like Tzricha must be speaking the ikad the takal vikad the kail. We're talking about a place where some weigh it, vikad the kail, some measure it, sell it by volume. I would think perhaps it's not considered a weighed material because not everybody does it. While the time there's room to think, even the kulaloi takli, since not all merchants weigh it, some sell it by volume. It doesn't qualify as weighed material. Kamashma does. Amar Papa. Another point on this: Ba'asra the takli shamchi, a place where they weigh onions when they sell them. Patanaf shefel b'shamchi, you can use even onions. It's material that's weighed. Pshita, well, obviously, why not? L'tzricha must be that we're speaking as follows: the basa the shakli. The merchants, after they weigh it for you, they throw in a couple. A baker's dozen. Shadu trade plus they throw in a couple more, 2, 3 more. Well, there's room to think that by doing so, they're sort of canceling the weighing system. It's no longer considered something weighed because they're selling it in random volume. Batal teras mishkal, perhaps the mishkal component has now been cancelled because they threw an extra. Kamashman, the point is no, it's still considered because he's selling you a pound plus a bonus. So she came along and she donated her daughter's weight, and she came to Yerushalayim, they weighed her. She had to pay it out in gold. The question is, Maisa Lister, why would you bring a story to contradict yourself? Here we're saying, on the one hand, unless you specify, you can use any material. And then you say, well, they obligated her to pay it out in gold. The mission is meant to be learned as though it's missing a couple of words. I learned as follows. When does any weighed material qualify? That's by a regular person. But if he's known to be a wealthy person who can afford more, presumably he meant something of higher value, such as the story where we assumed it was gold, and that's in fact what she paid. He's a prominent, more wealthy person. Even though he didn't specify what material he's going to pay, we applied according to his level of affordability. Because that's the assumption, and that's what he meant. Umas, in fact, there was a story to back up this halacha. Amra, who declared, who pledged, Mishtal B'tzi without specifying which material. She came to Yerushalayim Shaklon, they weighed her, and she paid it out in gold. Okay, so we spoke about weight. What about height? My height, alai, I will pay. In this case, he must pay a rod which does not bend. It has to be stiff, thick enough that it doesn't bend. Kemasi has to stand up as high as he does. Maloi kemasi, he adds the word maloi, which is an unnecessary add-on. In this case, he meant to specify further, to detail it. It doesn't have to be something that stands up, as long as it has the length. 6 feet long, even if it is soft and pliable, nice and sharp, he can pay out material as per a rod which bends. Maybe comes a kasha. The Brisa says koimasi or maloi koimasi. Either way, nice and sharp, the rod cannot bend. It has to be thick enough to stand, to support its own weight. So why does Rav say? Why does Rabbi Yehuda say that it can just bend? Hudamakar Akiva, he is in line with Rabbi Akiva, who says the Dayak Lishni Yisero focuses on the extra wording. When you add words, you're coming to send a message to specify further. In this case, to specify, it doesn't have to support its weight, as long as it has the length. That's enough. That's not. What do we find at Rabbi Akiva? Loyas habar v'loyas hadus. A person sells a property, sells a house. We assume he did not include the bar, which is an in-ground, pit, a cistern, or a similar type of thing, but just it has like walls. So it's in-ground, but it has, cement walls or something, right? In any case, these are separate facilities, not included in the house. Even though he specified, I'm selling you, the depth and the height. So even though that's in the contract, it only includes the actual building and but not the add-on facilities, which now belong to the seller. What about access? How does he get in there if the whole property belongs to the buyer? He has to turn on and buy an access route. Otherwise, he's blocked out. There's no need to buy special access route because, as Rashi says, when you sell, it's as little as possible. And if he left the buyer for himself, it includes the access as well. Now, Rabbi Kiva, who says that he sold it all off, he would agree when he specified, when he added extra words. When he told the buyer, look, here's the house, except, which he didn't have to say because it's understood, he added that exception to highlight that he wants access as well. Except for these, in this case, he has these with the access. There's no need for him to go spend money for a derech. Alma, apparently, what do we see from here? Since it's something he didn't have to say and he spelled it out, he's coming to add elements to the deal and specify further. Here as well. Instead of simply kaimas yola, he said maloi kaimas yola. He meant to specify in detail further. Look, as long as it has the length, the size, even if it's soft and pliable, doesn't support its weight, it's okay. Since he did not have to add the word maloi, he did so, to add more and to actually minimize his donation. Now comes a new list of expressions. We'd like to know what they mean. Mahu. Fellow gets up and says, I'm going to donate oimadi, my standing. What does that mean? Does that mean a rod, as long as he is, or maybe it doesn't mean anything? What exactly? Right? Roichvai, we turn to him on base. Roichvai. He's giving, in the first case he said keimasi. Imadi. Now he's saying roichvi, my width. What does that mean? Mahu. Rashi explains. What are the two options? Either it means, some sort of bar which is as wide as I am, or perhaps he means just a strip, like horizontally, the length of my width. So let's say he's 12 inches wide. So is it going to be a thick piece of whatever, as thick as wide as I am, or is it just a strip which can wrap around, which can traverse my width? Shavet orach, says Rashi, kimidas rachvi, along a rod, kimidas rachvi, the size of my width. And the same thing with the next couple of examples. Yeshiva soy mahu. So that was rechvoy, now it's yeshiva soy mahu. So he gets up and says, yeshiva si, my seat. Well, what does that mean? Does it have to be a material according to his size, according to when he's sitting, or is it just like a strip running across his seat? Oiv yoy mahu, hakeifoy mahu. So the next one was oiv, my width, oivi mahu. So again, does it have to be material as thick as he is, or perhaps just a long strip covering his thickness? Hakeifoy mahu, my circumference. So what does he mean? As thick as I am, or again, just like a belt running around my teiku? We leave all these unresolved. Mishkal yadi olay v'chu. So in this case, he pledged the weight of a part of himself, his hand. How do we evaluate? How do we estimate that donation? Tanarabon. Mishkal yadi, mishkal ragli olay. Mishkal, my hand and my foot, or b'daimer. We apply the displacement procedure. Maybe Chavis gets hold of a container, Malamayim fills it with water, Machnas biyada da otzel. He inserts his hand all the way, Ubregla da rekuva. By the leg, he does it until his knee. And then he refills it with donkey material. V'sheikel, basar, chamor, gidim atzomais. He weighs the material of a chamor. Reizan soichach, it's a smali, refills the missing, volume until it fills up. Now he knows how much weight he owes. Even though there's no clear proof to this parallel of using donkey material, we have some sort of hint that in fact the materials have similar, weight components, the donkey and the human. Shenemar asher basar chamerim besaram. Pasuk speaks about the Egyptians that their basar, their flesh, parallels the basar of chamerim. So you see, there's some sort of connection between the two, and our mission in this world is to take our chumrius, right? The oldest Svarim speak about the gashmius being chumri, like chamer, which is a symbol of earthliness, and take it and elevate it and use it for good purposes. Make for a dwelling place for Hashem. In any case, if it's a question of determining the weight of our flesh, you go to the basar chamer. Look, it's close, but it's not going to be accurate anyways. How can you perfectly match it up? That the proportion it's comprised of basar and bones, and how do you get the exact ratio to match perfectly? You're not going to get an exact estimation. So really responds, you're right. It's not going to be 100% right on, but we'll evaluate, we'll estimate to make sure that we match up the materials as per the human hand makeup. Look, if you're going to estimate anyways, so why go through this whole trouble? Just make an evaluation outright. How much do you think the hand weighs? Rabbi Yehuda says no. You do what you could. Get as close as possible. So even though ultimately you're going to have to insert an element of estimation, but at least you're 90% there. So you don't need the weight of his hand. How far up? Until the atzel. Or the Rashi, until the armpit. So yad goes all the way up there. Kiddush, Yadayim Raglayim B'Mikdash. In the Mikdash, they wash their hands and feet. How far up on the hand? Ada Perak. Until the so by the hand, it's until the wrist. Apparently, the yad is only the actual, we call in English the hand, right? Until the wrist, not the arm, right? Says the way you're right. The Raisa the parshanut-torah. The term yad refers only to the first section until the wrist. But in Dharam, however, when it comes to pledges and vows, over there we follow, the common expressions. Halech achar loshem, the way people speak. And people refer to the whole arrangement as the yad. Ask the Gemara the rest of the parak. So you're telling me that Minat it's only the first section. By tefillin, we're meant to place it on our hand. Nobody puts it on the hand. You put it on the upper arm. We're talking to Nashe Yadcha means Zuki Bairis. That's the muscle, the elevated muscle area above the elbow. Apparently, the word Yad refers all the way up. Says the Gemara. You're right. The Raisa Kibur is Kula. In fact, the word Yad Minat refers to the entire area. However, Benadarim Malach Lashim Le'adam. So when it comes to Nadarim, we go Lashim Le'adam, which is also all the way up. When it comes to washing your hands in the Mikdash, there's a special Lacham Sinai that limits it to the first section. Now, Beregla Darakuva, if you don't need the weight of his foot, you have to evaluate estimate the weight all the way up until the knee. So you're saying the word regel, it's not just the bottom section, the actual foot on the bottom, which is flat with the the floor. It goes all the way up, a calf all the way up to the knee. Raglayim. This is a pasuk which speaks about oila regel, shalosh regalim, and the Gemara learns that you have to have the ability to actually walk up to Beis Hamikdash prat l'bali kavan, as opposed to those who have kavan, the stumps, meaning they're missing their foot, and their calf is now being supported by this sort of contraption, this crutch, this support, right? So this fellow is exempt from oila regel because he's missing the regel, even though he still has the calf. Apparently, the word regel is the lower section only. Says the Gemara, B'nadarim halech achalash b'nei adam. Once again, it depends what we're talking about. In matters of nedarim, it depends how people refer to things. It's based on personal expression, and in that sense, the word regel refers all the way up to the knee. But in Torah, the term regel relates to the bottom section only. So in Torah, you're saying the word regel relates to only the bottom section, the actual foot, which is flat with the ground, and therefore pratlik bali kavan, we exclude the fellow who's missing the. What about by chalitza t'chsiv raglei? The woman undoes the shoe, right? Have a brother-in-law, and it says she removes it me'al raglei from his foot. V'tana, we discussed this halacha in more detail. Let's say he doesn't have the foot. So now the chalitza was done with a sandal, with a shoe that was wrapped around his calf. Below the knee. Now, it works. What do you mean? It's not regel, which is only the bottom section, which he doesn't have. Shani Hasim is the Gemara. Well, the answer there is like this. The pasuk adds the word me'al. Not only does the regel qualify for chalitza, even the section above it, including the calf. So then, allow it to be done all the way up, even above the knee. It's above the regel. Me'al. The pasuk specifies the section above, directly above the regel. That's only the calf. Loy me'al de me'al, but not the section above that. That's twice removed. That's too far away. Amra papa. The fact that we consider the calf as me'al ragloi, apparently it's only once removed from the bottom section of one's foot. So what about the ankle? Apparently the ankle is not a separate entity. Otherwise, the section above the ankle would be considered twice removed, not just once removed. Amar Papa Shmamada, we can conclude from this halacha, hayas tavira, the ankle ad aranachas. It connects all the way down to the floor. So basically, we have the section above the foot, the calf, then we have the ankle, then we have the actual regel. The ankle is just a connector. It's not a separate entity. So this connects to the ankle, which is connected to the bottom. Ad aranachas goes all the way down to the bottom. It's not a separate section. Because otherwise, then the calf will be twice removed. The ankle is once removed from the leg, from the foot, and then the leg is twice removed. Highest tevira ad aranachas. These are gedaitach mipsa pasuk, because if it disconnects and it's its own section, havli is tevira me'al. So the ankle is considered me'al. It's one on top of the foot. V'shak on the shaik, the leg, me'al demal is a step above that. Rav Ashi Amar, no, you don't have to say that. If the ankle is its own section, disconnected from the bottom, you can still consider the leg as me'al, because called about the kara, since the ankle sort of plays along with the foot, it functions together with the foot, the bottom section, it's considered one and the same karadami, which makes the leg above it as just once removed from the foot. Okay, so we spoke about a fellow who donated his weight. He specifies gold, it's gold, silver, it's silver, otherwise anything that's considered weighed material. The person is known to have in mind more expensive material, like the Isha Imosha or Matya. We assume she meant gold, and that's what she pays. We had all kinds of other expressions. A rod, measure of my tallness, and my width, and right? And we spoke about a fellow who donated just the weight of his hand or his foot, and two ways to evaluate that. I spoke about how far up constitutes hand and foot. Continues the Mishnah. In this case, he's offering the value, not the weight, the value of his hand. How do you evaluate just a hand? So if it's just an entire person, so then as per market value, whatever he would fetch as if being sold as a slave on the slave market. But how do you do that just on the hand? We appraise him as follows. How much would he be worth? Meaning, how much would somebody buy a slave with a hand or without a hand? And that difference he would pay, because that's reflective of the actual value of the hand. Now this halacha is unique to a value pledge, which we call a neder, which allows you to pledge even on just a hand, the value of the hand. That's a chumrah, a stringency, an added element that we find by nedarim over ARACHIN, because there it has to relate to the person in his entirety. You can't just pledge the erech of a hand. The fixed rate, the flat rate in the Torah relates to the entire person. There's no erech just on a hand. So how do we go ahead in this assessment? Just like by injuries, we apply a similar system of oimed. Rashi says, Adam shekitel lechaver yadev, somebody removes somebody else's hand. We do this same type of appraisal. Shaman oisek evedem nikabeshuk, says Rashi. Kama haya yafa koydem laka, v'kama hu yafa achshav. How much did he drop in value with the hand and now without the hand? Amalei Abai responds to Rava. That's not really an accurate assessment with respect to our story. You see, there a person is severely handicapped. Without a hand, his value drops dramatically. It's a zilzal. It looks like it's not a very attractive type of deal. Amalei Abai midami. How can you compare Hasam Gavra Zila? The person there is mezulzal. Rashi says, "Sorry, you say mezulzal." Severely detracted, severely disadvantaged. Of course, his value drops dramatically without the hand. But here we're talking about a healthy person who looks full and complete, with both hands intact. So it's pretty difficult to evaluate, to apply that evaluation to our case. Right, so basically the numbers that pertain to an actual injury, an actual amputation, are way higher. It's a much greater drastic drop in price than just simply trying to estimate the value of a hand which is still in place. So why disagrees? In fact, we assess based on a person who has both hands intact. But you do it as follows. How much would a person be willing to pay for an eved who can only work with one hand, as opposed to a fellow who can work with both hands? And that difference you pay. What do you mean he's working with one hand? What's with the second? The other one has been amputated. That's precisely like the case of Nazakan, like the injury. He's missing his hand. So you're running back to the same formula, which you were trying to avoid. No, we're speaking that both hands are healthy, intact, but he simply can't use the second hand because there was another master that owned the Eved, and he owned that hand, and he didn't transfer to the new master. So basically, it's committed. It's bound to the other master. He can't work with it today, with the new master. So physically, he's complete, he's whole. There's no zilzal aspect, but practically, functionally, he's not using that hand. So the difference in price between a two-handed Eved and a one-handed Eved, in terms of usage, that's what you pay. By Rava, Amdu Aymin Shel Nazak. Suppose a person was injured, and they did an aymed, they did an assessment, they did an appraisal. They had three, experts, three dayanim, whatever, right? And they determined, X value for the hand. And then he got up and says, you know what? I'm going to donate my value. I don't want to keep it. I'll give it to Hashem. But Amar, he says, Damai Alai. So whether it's the hand or more than the hand, the point is, he was injured. And they made an assessment on the person, or on part of the person that had been injured, determined this, a certain amount of value, and now he got up and he donated that value to Hashem. He says, Dmei Alai. The question is, do we need another new assessment, or could we just work on based on the first appraisal? So they already made an aymed with respect to injury damages, v'amar damayalai, and then he goes and pledges his value to Hashem. Now, what happens now? We say he was already praised one time. Just use the same formula. You can't compare this more extensive, elaborate assessment procedure which is in place when it comes to Hegdesh. You need 10 involved. Rashi brings the Gemara in Sanhedrin. You need 10 people involved. Whereas Ayman Shal Nizakin, a simple, injury appraisal, for that it's enough to have three dayanim. So can we just work with the first appraisal? Do we need a brand new appraisal? Shani Umdana Be'asora. Well, Umdana performed by 10 is more extensive, it's more elaborate, more opinions involved, it's more expert. Umdana Be'atlos as opposed to a smaller scale assessment performed by 3. Okay, so again, what happened was he had experienced some sort of injury, and they assessed him in terms of how much, he would fetch on the slave market. It's been established by the 3. And now he pledged the same type of thing to Shamayim, which typically requires a 10-man assessment. Can we just use the earlier formula, or do you need a new formula, a new assessment? If you're going to suppose that, we have to redo it, the 10-man assessment is totally different than a 3-man assessment, which requires necessitates a new umdana. Let's say Omar Damiyalai promises his value to Hashem, and in fact he went through a proper formal 10-man appraisal. Then he goes and pledges it again. Can we just use the same numbers? What's the halacha now? Hachavadi here, certainly you would say, look, he already went through this 10-man appraisal. Why do it again? Or you can say, no, shvach beni beni. Perhaps he underwent some sort of value change in between. It has to be reassessed. Says the Gemara, let's say Omar Damelai promised his value to Hashem, and they didn't appraise him. Went again and he pledged his value. What happens here? You would assume one assessment for both. Here certainly, return to the next Talmud. We just do it in one shot for both pledges. Or you can say, no, each payout requires its own assessment to basically convert his verbal pledge into actual money value. That needs to be done by a formal umdana procedure. Since both pledges were done, separately, he requires 2 assessments, 1 per pledge. If you're going to suppose, given the Bezach has another, since it was done separately, it requires 2 separate assessments, 1 per each, 1 per pledge. What if he says it at once? Twice my value. Here certainly you would say it's 1 pledge. And therefore, I'm dealing just to make 1 assessment for both. Or you can say, since he used the word shnei, which is 2, he separated them. It's like he promised 2 separate, independent pledges, which require separate assessment. If you're going to assume the second option, that by using the word shnei, it's like 2 separate pledges, and you need separate umdanas. Listen to this case. Let's say he was just appraised for no reason. Rashi says, they were practicing on him. Okay? 10 men came and appraised him. It wasn't lishma, it wasn't for the sake of billing him for the pledge. What would you say in this case? Would say, look, his value has been established, so no more assessment is needed. Or no, but in kavana alone, they need kavana. It has to be part of the consciously part of the process. Otherwise, it doesn't count. Perhaps we can resolve at least this last question. This we look at the next mission where it says, I'm pledging my own value. Umeis, and he passed away before the assessment took place. The inheritors are not obligated. Why? There's no value for a person who passed away. You can't evaluate him. Too late. Hold it. But you can assume the person was worth at least $5. Even without a formal assessment. So by default, he has an established rate of $5 at least. If you're going to tell me that an established assessment, even without kavanah, counts as an umdana hamad v'koi. I mean, even though the person passed away prior to experiencing a proper assessment, I mean, he has some presumed value. Mika Gabra, is there a person is not worth $4? So the fact that they're exempt indicates that you need a formal appraisal, which you didn't have. Well, says the Gemara, no, not necessarily. Can you prove anything from there? When he says Dami Olai, there was no conscious appraisal done at all. Nobody actually appraised him. So this assumed value that doesn't carry. Let's assume that's not an option. Our question was, when he was appraised, but it wasn't for the kavanah, for the purpose of determining the value of his pledge. And that question still holds up. In your case, there was no nachas l'umdana, there was no actual umdana done. It was just a presumed value. That doesn't count. That for sure doesn't count. But you can still wonder in a case where he was actually appraised for no reason, for no special reason. Can you use that formula and apply it to his pledge? Very interesting. It seems like the umdana is sort of not just a means of discovering this value. It's part and parcel of the Hegdish process. You pledge, you appraise it, you assess it, you determine, and you pay it. Okay, all the best to you, and Atzlacha Rav.